Yo, here we're playing the first Kirby game ever. Let's do it. We start off, you know, the classic butterfly, he's always been there, and now he's being, like, really mean or something. So something that most people playing would already notice is that, well, maybe not already because there's no actual enemy yet. That would give you one. But there are no copy abilities, which sets this game apart from almost every other Kirby game. You know, we gotta blick some dudes. It's not that hard of a game, really. Here we already have our first mini-boss, this dude. He throws bombs. I think he's trying to be like a terrorist or something, I don't know. You like throw him back at him, very, very simple boss to kind of introduce that concept. And of course I've played this game a bit before, so... much more experience. We have these big old bears. They become much more resilient than any other game. Right now they just die right away. Along with like every other enemy. Except for the bosses. The bosses take multiple hits. And here we have our first boss, Wispy Woods. He's a tree, he's really easy. He appears in like almost every game. He spit out those little wind things that we can also kind of do. Notably when we're in the air, press B. First damage. First damage point from Wispy Woods. We gotta collect the stars. Then we turn into 3 and then we start dancing. Very iconic. But the general plot of this game is that King Dedede, you know, being a big penguin that you'll see later, he stole all the food because he's just really mean like that. And now we gotta go and get the food back and beat him up, you know? There's not a lot of plot depth, but I mean, really, what were you expecting? It's a Kirby game. They'll do plot depth later. Right now, they're just kind of doing whatever. Given this was the first game, they kind of had to get it off the ground. Alright, you can't go back in, you have to go around. You can't do anything when you're in the water other than just walk. Which is another thing the later games improve upon, is you can spit out a little bit of water. And here you have the invincibility candy, you know, its theme has always remained the same. Very nice, energetic. It's nice. Here we go, bursting in through the castle walls. And this is the boss of this level. I think this is just low. He's a fucking... I don't know, he's blue. Can't really see it, but he is blue. They'll do colors later. And he is from HAL's, which is the developer of this game and one of their failed games. So by this point they were basically really struggling to get like anything off the ground. Until this game. These little broom beards, they're nice. The controls kind of feel a little slippery. Another thing that is a bit of an issue with this game. Especially when in the air. And this is the second boss, not really hard. As with every boss in this game. Each of these little blob dudes take 3 hits before they explode. Yeah, the dances are a notable part of this game. They're pretty fun. Always nice to see. Same with these little intros. They're always a nice little comedy. Gonna introduce you to some of what the level has to offer. Here we got a bomb. We failed to hit a Waddle Dee with it. Okay, I actually gotta lock in. There are those cannons that hit in the spread pattern. We'll see more of them later. Here we have the squishies, you know, flying through the air somehow. I don't really know how, but they do it. And there we had the microphone, and Kirby singing is implied to be so bad that they just hear it and they die. It's very impressive. And those up there are the Caboos. They're kind of, I don't know, they just do their thing. This is going to be kind of more of like a faster playthrough. I'm pretty experienced with this game. Says I get hit twice, yeah. Room here, and while you have the curry, water gets rid of it instantly. Just one downside to going in the water, and pretty much like the only one, other than, well, the fact that you can't do anything when you're in it. We get another Warp Star ride. With this little tower into a whale. You get stuck in the spout and then get blown away. Up into the sky. It's nice. And now we have our boss. And this is Kabula. Pretty fun boss. This starts the trend that many other Kirby games follow, where they turn into a bullet hell for a little bit. Only a little bit though. Usually they always revert back. Now we have bubbly clouds. We get that, which is pretty cool. Legendary, I was just about to die. Huge. And here we get our first introduction to these guys, Scarfy. If you try to inhale them, they do this. They chase you after. They chase after you for a little bit, and then they blow up. If you hit them normally with an air pellet, they also blow up. You kind of have to keep a bit of distance whenever you try to kill one of them. Ouch. They were getting kind of cooked. You want to get these guys out pretty quickly, because if you don't, I'm pretty sure their umbrellas try to like home in on you. We got the Sir Kibble. You know, these guys are pretty cool. The point of this game is to be a very easy, quicker game compared to most stuff that was coming out at the time. I would say it succeeds in that rather well, and still offers a decent challenge for more experienced platformer players, which is later on. And here you have one of the secret rooms. I didn't even learn about this one being a thing until recently. Run through, you blick people, and yeah, you leave. And this is the first boss of this area, Mini Krakow, or Krakow Jr. He's really easy. In fact, all of Krakow's variants are really easy. You can just stay at one side of the screen and it'll never hit you. I should say it's probably like the biggest flaw in the boss design. And that was not the final boss of this area. There too. Well, it's the same guy, but just different. You know, you can clear out these big areas. They're nice. Gordos, fill them up. Try those little spike dudes. I was wondering if I could inhale that through the wall. And here we get our second instance of having the spicy curry. I like it, it's quite a cool ability. And we have to ascend the skies to face off with Krakow again. But there's a secret: if you go into the moon, you enter free fall through the sky and you get items, which is pretty cool. And then they drop you in the Krakow boss room. This is actual Krakow. The one before where he was just the eye is Krakow Jr. And I'm pretty sure it is the same character. They can kind of catch you off guard with those. Otherwise, he's a pretty fun boss. And now that Krakow is down, we have beaten this level, get to see another dance, and we move on to the last stage. This is the really big instance of the intro cutscene being used kind of like as a cinematic thing. You get to see him on the Warp Star head into Mount DDD. And here, you fight every boss in the game. First you go through these little gauntlet type rooms, which actually aren't that hard. You have to collect these Kirbys to destroy the Gordos at the front of the doors. The Gordos can also one-shot you if you don't, if you run into them. I don't know what I was doing there. We couldn't chase him down. Alright, that's their first boss down of 4. Now we have Wispy again. I kind of play them in a random order whenever I get to this section of the game. Wispy Wood, once again, the easiest boss by far in the game. Okay. Say it right as I get hit, yeah. Really nice display of skill, but yeah. He comes back a lot in the other games, and they do more with him to kind of make him more of a unique fight. That was pretty close there, almost ran straight into him. Now we have Kabula once again. That shot where she goes right for you is pretty easy to avoid. Especially with how long the telegraph is. You're gonna try to go down slower, so don't take any unnecessary hits like that. That was really close too. And here, luckily, you just fight Kracko and not Kracko Jr. Although Kracko Jr. isn't really that hard either. Usually he never does that attack right after. Now we have the final boss, King Dedede. It's pretty, like, decently difficult compared to the other ones, obviously, as you see. His health is pretty fucking big. See if we can beat him without dying here. I think we probably can, maybe. That face first dive becomes a bit of a pain later. And the music here is also really nice for a Game Boy game. Such a limited sound capabilities. Uh-oh, we're close. We got him. On to 1 health left. And we've done it, sent him flying out of his own castle. Now we take the power of these stars to become really big. Flies castle over the land, and all of the food just kind of drops out of it. So now the residents of Dreamland can eat. And yeah, the credits. Another very good game, I'd say. This game is very worth your time if you want like a quick go-to platformer that's just like actually nice. And it's really very, very short. I think it's only taken us like, what, 20 minutes here? I don't know. This is another really nice example of music being done really well. And that's the first mode done. He pulls a sign out of, I don't know, somewhere. And the food keeps swelling onto the happy residents. And that's the game. There is another extra mode, which we will probably do another video on. It's basically just this game, as we have it now, but way tougher. The enemy patterns become more difficult, the bosses become a bit harder. One of the bosses especially becomes much, much more difficult. And that is it. That's the game. Thank you for watching, and see ya.